Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami
Rama
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Shri Radhe, Jai Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Shri Radhe, Jai Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Shri Radhe, Jai Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Shri Radhe, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 श्री श्रीमाद चरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्री शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्री शिल गौर किशोर दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्री शिल भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर श्री श्री शिल वैष्णव सर्वश्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की नामाचार्य शिल हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त बिंदु की मायापुर धाम की श्री श्री नवद्वीप वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गंगामय जमुनामय तुलसी महारानी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। श्री श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र की जय। श्री श्री निसिंह बरहदेव की जय। भक्त भगवान श्री श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव बिंदु की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंद। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gaurang. Hare Hare Bol.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Shri Advaita Vedanta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you again for gathering this Saturday's program. So today we have our good fortune to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and continue our series from His Grace Gokulananda Prabhu. So I would like to take this opportunity to introduce him. You all know him very well. He is our senior, a very senior devotee in our Bensalem Bhakti Vriksha. He's been coming to this Bhakti Vriksha for past 15-20 years. He is the senior most. So let's all welcome him by chanting 3 times Haribol loudly. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. So His Grace Gokulananda Prabhu is an initiated disciple of His Holiness Krithu Maharaj and has been practicing Krishna consciousness since 1984. That's about 30 years, more than. So he became an active life member at ISKCON Tobacco, New Jersey in the year 1987 and also Philadelphia in 2004. So he got very active in the year 2015 at ISKCON Philadelphia wearing various hats. So he has been an active congregation member along with his family and serving ISKCON Philadelphia in various roles such as Sunday feast, organizing festivals, cooking, actively participating in Rath Yatra and attending various courses. He has done Bhakti Shastri course, he has done Srimad Bhagavatam course and has been given several discourses online and also at Bensalem Bhakti Vriksha. He got second initiation in the year 2024, June, from His Grace Krithu Maharaj. So thank you very much, Prabhu, for honoring our request. So please open vedabase.net, Srimad Bhagavatam, 1.3.10. 3.10. Yes. Thank you.
Bear with me a minute.
Technical issue.
बंद my screen going. Oh, there you go. You have to start with issue, then you get the solution, right? Hare Krishna. Hello.
Speak.
Hello. Yeah, it's okay. Hare Krishna. Let's start with just a little Duna Prada Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रजधन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रजधन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय 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 श्री कृष्ण भगवान Hare Krishna. So we're going to start with some Mangalacharan, so at least we can start. Om Ajnanatimirandasya
Om Ajnanatimirandasya
Gnananjana Salakaya
Gnananjana Shalakaya
Gnananjana Salakaya
Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakrunmilitam Mena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Sri Chaitanya Manobhisam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupada Mayam Dadati Svapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Nilabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrichavanu-sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripha Sindhubhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. We also have obeisances to Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatmudiraye.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye.
Nastaprayesu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttam Sloke Bhaktir Bhagati Naistaki.
Bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki.
Sri Bhagavad Gantaraj ki
Jai.
Mukham karoti vātālam mangum langayati yat krupatamam vande paramanandam madhavam. Well, we are continuing. Wait a minute, what we are continuing? We are continuing 1, 3, 10. Okay. So that's the slope. If everybody has it open, we're gonna recite. Pancham Kapilo Nama
Pancham kapilo nama
Siddhe Sakala Viplutam
siddhe sakara viplutam.
Pruvacha Sure Sankyam Tattvagama Vinirayam Pancham Kapilo Nama Siddhe Sakala Viplutam Kala Viplutam Pruvacha Sure Sankyam Tattvagama Vinirayam Pancham Kapilo Nama
Panchamaha kapilo nama
Siddhe Sakala Viplutam
siddhe sakala viplutam.
Provacha Suraye Sankyam
Provacha suraye sankyam
Tattvagama Vinirayam.
tattvagrama vinirnayam.
If anybody want to recite, that's fine.
Panchamaha kapilo nama
Panchama Kapilo Nama
siddheshaha kala viplutam.
Siddhe Sakala Viplutam
Provacha surye sankyam
Provacha Suraye Sankyam
tattvagrama vinirnayam.
Tattvagama Vinirayam.
पंचमहाकपिलो नाम
Panchamaha kapilo nama
देशः कालविप्लुतम्
siddheshaha kala viplutam.
प्रोवाचासुरये साङ्ख्यम्
Provacha Suraye Sankyam
त्वग्रामविनिर्णयम्
tattvagrama vinirnayam.
पंचमाकपिलो नाम
Panchamaha kapilo nama
सिद्धेशकालविप्लुतम्
Siddhe Sakala Viplutam
प्रोवाचासुरये साङ्ख्यम्
Provacha Suraye Sankyam
तत्त्वग्रामाविनिर्णयम्
tattvagrama vinirnayam.
पञ्चमः कपिलो नाम
Panchama Kapilo Nama
सिद्धेशकालविप्लुतम्
Siddhe Sakala Viplutam
प्रवचासुरये साङ्ख्यम्
Provacha Suraye Sankyam
तत्त्वग्रामविनिर्णयम्
Tattvagama Vinirayam.
पञ्चमकपिलो नाम
Panchamaha kapilo nama
सिद्धेशकालविप्लुतम्
siddhe sakala viplutam.
प्रोवाचासुरये साङ्ख्यम्
Provacha suraye sankyam
तत्त्वग्रामविनिर्णयम्
tattvagrama vinirnayam.
So word to word translation now. Panchama, the fifth one. Kapila. Nama of the name. Siddhesha, the foremost among the perfect. Kala, time, Viplutam, lost, Pruvacha, said, Asure, unto the Brahmana named Asuri, Sankyam, metaphysics, Tattva, grammar, the sum total of the creative elements, and Vinirnayam, exposition. We're going to have translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The fifth incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is the foremost among the perfect beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements and the metaphysics of the Asuri Brahmana, for in course of time this knowledge had been lost. There's a small purport here also, that the sum total of the creative elements is 24 in all. Each and every one of them is explicitly explained in the system of Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy is generally called metaphysics by the European scholars. The etymological meaning of the Sankhya is that which explains very lucidly by analysis of the material elements. And this was done for the first time by Lord Kapila, who is said herein to be the fifth in the line of incarnations. Well, dear devotees, Hare Krishna. I seek for the blessings of my Guru Maharaj, the senior exalted devotees and acharyas, to allow and bless me to preach their words and teachings, because that's exactly what we derive everything from. This is a very interesting verse, having another lightning episode in Srimad Bhagavatam. Again, it's a great pleasure to continue to discuss among us about the Krishna, the source of all incarnation. That's what we have been continuing in Canto 1, Chapter 3. So far we have covered 4 incarnations. I presume we covered 4 incarnations. Can anyone recall any of those incarnations?
First one, Kumaras.
Masya, Varaha,
Varaha,
Naraji,
Narad, yeah.
Narayan.
So mainly the 5 avatars we are talking about in general, that, chronologically you can say 4 Kumaras, that was the first one. So when Brahmaji was creating this universe, the 4 Kumaras and Shaktis are incarnation of Brahma. The second incarnation is Varahadev, like you said. Now Varahadev basically okay, so what did he do to the earth? He brought it out of the sea with the pride, and then the third incarnation is Narad Muni, whose Shakti, he is empowered avatar, so he, basically what Narad Muni has is his avatar means he is one who has given special powers by Lord. Like Vyasadeva was given a powers to create the Shastras, the scriptures. In those days there were no pens or laptops or anything. And even then, or even pen and paper weren't there. So it was all by memory. And you can imagine, we cannot do even one lecture by looking at it. And he has to do all these Shastras just by memory. So it's amazing power, and they are empowered by the Lord. So Lord Shakti gives special powers to Narad Muni in same way, in different incarnation, with power to propagate. Like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, and he had thousands of disciples like this throughout his various incarnations. So Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, they are the famous avatars that we know. So the 4th avatar, the Narayan Rishi, which was covered by, I presume, Ras Chaitanya Prabhu a couple of weeks ago. So I think that was the 4th avatar, Narayan, and it was detailed discussion. But the 5th avatar is Kapil Muni. Very, very interesting character. In the beginning there are many types of origins from Brahma's body. But in due course, this origins it has to give rise to the human society. The whole idea was of creating the world, creating the society. Well, in general, these avatars are the one we saw 5 avatars. They are all categorized in generally 6 different categories, like, Purusha avatar. We know the Garbhodakshai, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and Karanodakshai Vishnu. So it's Purusha avatars. And also Lila avatar, Guna avatar, Yuga avatar, Sakti Avesh avatar, and Manvantara avatar. So all these avatars are categorized different way, but we are not getting into that. We are concerned right now with the Kapil Muni's avatar today. Otherwise, there's a lot of discussion on this particular subject. So to this end, Brahmaji had a man and woman, they were born. And woman, the man was named Swayambhu Manu was born. And then the woman was named Satrupa, she was born. So we had Swayambhu Manu and Satrupa first from the Brahma's body, and they were given a sign to propagate the world, the creation of the world. But they were asked to marry and enter as a householders to perform assigned duty. And the duty of Swayambhu Manu and Satrupa was to create the universe. Eventually they had 4 sons whom they wanted to get married. So the 4 sons refused to get married, and that would become a big problem for them because the assignment was to propagate the world. Well, if every child refuses to get married, that will become like a major problem for Manu also. So how will the world move forward? So his responsibility was face major hurdle, and after repeated convincing, the Kumaras agreed to have children. As far as Manu was concerned, he had 2 sons. They were named Priyavat and Utpanpad. Utpanpad we know is Dhruv Maharaj's friend. So, father of Dhruv Maharaj. And 3 daughters were there, Akruti, Prakruti and Devuti. This is very important. 3, from Manu Maharaj, that's where whole Manav Samaj is pretty much generated. So Devuti was the youngest daughter and was very intelligent. Not that well educated, but intelligence and study is one thing to do. But in those days, Devuti was the youngest daughter. She was very intelligent and profound in Vedic knowledge. Now Manu is in charge of the total universe. He was like a king. The daughters in their family, all the daughters, they were raised in aristocratic way like a rich princesses, because he was the king of universe. So when he was looking for marrying his daughter, he was obviously looking for a man of his cadre, somebody who would be able to take care of these girls. The way she was brought up, he will only look for ordinary person. He will not look for ordinary person, but rather some emperor or a king to marry his daughters. Well, it is not like that. Father is forcibly saying that you have to get married here. Actually, there was a force in Vedic culture. It is not that fathers are forcing. It's like arranged marriage. In the old time, I don't know these days how many are love marriage, how many are arranged, but we come from some society where arranged marriages are also part of our culture. So that was the type of, but especially these qualified girls, they had to go, from the rich family. They used to go for Swayamvar, like Sita Mataji. She used to play with the kind of bow and arrow that when Ram came, the whole Swayamvar was done and they were looking for somebody who is much stronger and much smarter like Sita Mataji. So Swayamvar was main thing in those days for them. So she was free to choose from she wanted to marry, but one condition was imposed. Correct at least this much, and they have to be highly qualified from royal people. That's what happened in Sita Swayamvar. That's what Devuti Swayamvar was looking for. But we're going to see what's the interesting thing is coming out of it. So she was free and she wanted to marry, but one condition was imposed, that they should be very well qualified. So Devuti had heard and contacted spiritually rich tapasvi like Kardam Rishi. I don't know if you heard of the Kardam Rishi, but Kardam Rishi, in those days the name was given based on their quality and attributes. I think Dhamma means power. Correct? Dhamma means a power. So that the power, the one who has a control or restraint of the senses, he had a control of senses, he had a powerful control of the senses. And those days they used to call him Kardam Rishi. So, if Kardam Rishi, he had in mind, if that news comes to Manu, then that will be a big surprise, because he wouldn't want, Kardam Rishi didn't have anything. He was mainly having a small ashram, and under the tree for thousands of years he did penance, the tapasya. And he was a big tapasvi. He had no other interest in a normal material life. So then, she wanted to marry somebody like Kardam Muni for the spiritual advancement, highlighting spiritual intelligence over material wealth. She was not concerned about material wealth. Devahuti was brought up in a Vedic culture. She was talented, she was more interested in a Vedic life, spiritual life. So she was not really concerned to, marry in like a royal family or wealthy family. Nowadays if you look generally any girl, you should see any girl, she will have a preference to whom she should marry. These days, you just don't, you have to give her a preference. Sometimes they even have a preference, like in India, say you gotta have a fat income, you should be having a business or a government job, or he should be a professional like IT or doctors or engineers. People are looking for professionally rich people, and the girls are looking for that kind of, one who is earning a lot of money or has a bungalow and car and everything, nice branded clothes. And it should be that if you marry a rich person, then you will have only one life like that, it is your destiny. This is also, not everybody gets like that, but everybody looks for something like that. So this is also intelligence, so material intelligence, but one may have, whatever is in their destiny, they find such men. Now, men have similar issues these days, I don't know, as a joke, the Socrates. The Socrates, is a great philosopher, Now, in his neighborhood there was a boy, and his father was telling him to get married. Now he's, 18, 20, 21, why don't you get married? He says, I see Socrates' life, His wife was a disaster, they're throwing things at him and this, and they had always a classes, and he was seeing all this in neighborhood. He was seeing his family, and he tells his father, I don't want to get married. So his father said, well, you are grown up now, you have to get married. He said, look, if you want, I'll take Socrates' advice, He chose the right thing to convince his father that he don't want to get married. So he goes to Socrates, and he tells Socrates, look, my father is after me, and he just wants me to get married. I don't want to get involved with this whole mess and class. You know how it is. Socrates says, no, wait a minute, I think you should get married. You know why? If you find a girl of your choice, which is a dream girl, healthy, wealthy, beautiful, and this, hey, you got it made, you got a dream girl with you. You have nothing to worry. But he says, if I don't get a dream girl, what happens? He said, well, then you become a philosopher like me. So there's nothing to lose. Either way, you should get married. So that's the kind of wisdom we had in those days. One can have a happy life with material intelligence, but it is a more karmic life. That's not what we are looking for as devotee. What you are looking for is much happy life, because all these things are temporary. All these enjoyments are temporary. And you don't want to get involved. So even for your children, when you look, you want to look something more devotional type environments. If you just go for material intelligence and live a karmic life, then you know the type of misery they will inherit. Well, But if we are spiritually developed and live with wisdom like that of Devahuti, because she has a knowledge from Vedic scriptures and Vedic cultures she was brought up in, and the association of the people that she wanted to feel like a common woman with physical, and she didn't want to feel like a common woman with physical and mental sufferings, of this material life. She thought, well, if we get a life like this today, one will accept it happily. But look at Devahuti. She is concerned to marry with a spiritually rich person, not materially rich person. Let's understand that. Because she wanted to be free from cycle of birth and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, right? Or janma mrityu jara vyadhi pilitam karma bandhanahi. And the only way to get out is from the devotional standpoint, spiritual standpoint. When you spend a life that way, then there is a considerable tolerance is required along with the cool patience to get through this material life in order to reward spiritual advancement. What I mean to say is, if you are only concerned that she is materially happy and not worried whether family is more religious or devotee families or something like that, then then life will have more misery in a material life. You would say, well, in a spiritual life, at least we know that being more transcendental in day-to-day lives, our children will have a better understanding how to live a better life. Well, so how much empowerment has did Manu? Here we are talking about protection. Because all parents are worried about the protection of children. Devahuti is such a qualified lady, but she did not take any independent decision. She could have. She was brought up as a princess. She could have done that. But first of all, she said, it is my choice whom I will marry as per correct guidance from scriptures and cultured associates. She convinced her father that, if you want, I will go with your guru, your sadhus, your scriptures. But I want to get married with some spiritually rich man, and she already had somebody in mind, that was Kardam Rishi. So, well, how will his father decided, okay, let me consult, and my guru he was Narad Muni, so see if he is suitable for you, if Kardam Muni is suitable for you. Well, it so happened, there is a whole description in Canto 3, how Narad Muni comes, how everything got married. But here we are touching base on general terms that, what happened to Devahuti's marriage and how the Kapil Dev was born, because we are touching base with Sankhya philosophy also. So, okay. What is happening here is, you will see that many people often say that people also raise objection, especially on Manu Samhita, that why Manu has to force her daughter only in royal family. But Narad, who was already told, he knew by his own powers that Kardam Rishi is the right choice for Devahuti in his family, in Manu's family. Again, this is in those days where the world had to be created. So everything was more on a devotional level. Actually, people have a word called freedom for women. Well, father protects the family, including her, until she is married. Not until she is married. Father considers that this is his responsibility. He has experience and he has lived in harmony with family. Father investigates the nature of the husband or wife to be. Everybody is concerned, who they are getting with. So, father investigates the nature, compatibility for the daughter, along with character, quality, and so on. And that her life will be full of happiness. That's a father's wish. So that was the responsibility to find suitable boy and arrange the marriage. That is Kanyadan. What will happen when old age has come? If the husband is there, let's say, he either left body or he took up Vanprasasam or he takes a sannyas like Kardam Rishi was. Whatever the reason may be, if husband and wife are not together, then under whose protection should the children live? This is also one of the concerns. Okay, so the God resides where women are protected and respected. This is the beauty of devotional life, and we understand everything by in the name of God. God resides where women are protected and respected. That is Vedic culture. A wife's spiritual support for her husband earns. A wife's spiritual support for her husband earns like a 50% of his spiritual credit, like we say, Ardhangini, she gets a half the credit. And anyway, so people can raise objection in scriptures, but in reality, even the women have been empowered. Even in those days, women were in a way empowered. It was not that father said, it's an arranged marriage, I'm telling you this and that's it, nothing else. Well, that's not how Manu. If Manu was like that, who has to start propagating the world, we would end up with a mess. So what is happening, people can raise objection in scripture, but in reality, even women have been empowered so that the husbands can be selected with the approval of family, and family directing children to have selection of similar or higher capacity of the family. So it should be that if you marry a rich person, then you will have only one life, and that is whatever is in your destiny. Kardam Rishi was a great tapasvi. This is what is important now. Because Kardam Rishi, like we said, the one who had total control of senses, he was a very powerful man. Why would he get involved in getting married? But it was Lord told him that he was also part of the Prajapatis to have the world propagated and creation of the world. So Kardam Rishi was a great tapasvi. He was doing yogas for thousands of years. When we say thousands, the years and time frame is different in a Brahmalok and all this. So it's not same as our time frame. Well, so this was his duty as a Prajapati to continue the creation of the world. So Kardam Rishi was given, the Lord Vishnu had appeared many times in his darshan also, and he did not want any family attachment. So he said, I can get married, I can help the creation of the world as per Brahmaji, but the only one condition that he had, Kardam Rishi has preconceived notion to enter in marriage life, no problem. But he says after the son is born in the family, he will immediately leave again to the jungles for tapasya, for penance. He will go for his penance. So this was the condition, a very, very harsh condition. Kardam Rishi said, the minute the son is born, I will leave the family. I will go to jungle and continue my meditation and my tapasya. Now that's a very, very big problem for Manu to decide that how to handle this. So assuming that Dehuti wanted to marry Kardam Rishi, and finally her father respected her wishes because Narad had already told Manu that yes, Kardam Rishi is looking for a wife, because Kardam Rishi was given a notion by Lord. And same with Narad is also everywhere and a unique personality going from one way to another, and he was a guru in this family. So he told Manu that Kardam Rishi is a right boy for Devahuti, because Devahuti is only looking for spiritually wealthy, spiritually intelligent men. But he said, look, this is the condition. What will happen? The minute son is born, he will leave the family. So, but since Devahuti wanted to marry Kardam Muni, and finally his father respected her wishes, so he went to meet Kardam Rishi. This whole incident of her marriage of Kardam Muni is in chapter 3, Canto 3, chapter 22. And whole married thing, how it occurred and everything is described. But here we are all considering is what it relates to our discussion, because it will give you a basic idea of what happened between Kadam, between Kadam Rishi and So, such a spiritual marriage is like the one in heaven. It was spiritually rich and advanced Muni's marriage as Prajapati. Devahuti had agreed. Devahuti was ready that although he will live for sannyas right immediately after I have one son in family, she said, I have no problem, because she was more concerned, she had a more transcendental thought that at least I'll be through this life and back to Vaikuntha. That's the kind of thinking she had. So, well, finally the Lord himself incarnated as Kapil Muni. What happened is, a spiritual marriage took place. They had 9 daughters, no son. So here he is waiting. Kadam Rishi said, until the son comes, I may live like even, in a separate this and wait for the son to come, because son was the only thing he was concerned with. That was his condition. So finally, after 9 daughters, they had a son, and that son's name was Kapil Muni. He was the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Kapil Dev was the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, because in such a spiritual, highly spiritual family, everyone who was born was, spiritually advanced. And these all 9 daughters, they also married in a very rich sages and saints and all that. So, they had a whole, Kadam Rishi had a whole line of sages and saints, even Manu. So after Kadam Rishi leaves, then her mother has accepted Kapil Dev as his guru. Because Kadam Rishi is, after 9 daughters, the Kapil Muni was born. The son was born. And the son himself was like a god, because he was incarnation of Vishnu. So after Kadam Rishi leaves, then her mother has accepted Kapil Dev as his guru and takes his teachings to cool the disturbed senses. So Kapil Muni is incarnation of a god. He described the Sankhya philosophy and Bhakti Yoga. In the 3rd canto again of Srimad Bhagavatham, his instructions are there. He was giving instructions to his mother, Devahuti. His father left him under the care of the mother. He went to forest for liberation. So when he grew up, he instructed his mother. He is known as a Kapil Dev, is known as a Devahuti Putra, the son of Devahuti, like Jasodanandan, right? Krishna was known by mother's name, Jasodanandan, Devaki Nandan. But he is very much pleased with his name, because his name was connected to mother, and he was, just like Vasudev Nandan Nandan. Similarly here also he was Devahuti Nandan or Devahuti Putra Kapil. Now, under the protection of the adult son Kapil Muni, realizing the level of spiritual consciousness, the Kapil Muni and Devahuti sought for a spiritual knowledge from him. Because Devahuti is now more, disturbed, her senses are disturbed, and she is looking for all guidance from his son. So son now becomes a guru. She knew he is like a god himself. This is not ordinary person. This is God himself. This is the God here at my place of banks. And they started at Bindu Sarovar, where Kapil Muni and Mother Devahuti spent their life. Their dialogues are in Srimad Bhagavatham. Different parts of Srimad Bhagavatham, all incidents. I think the biggest incident is that of Kapil Muni. Prabhupada has taken so many classes on teachings of Kapil Muni. Imagine how important it is. Because the Kapil Muni teaches that the attachment of material thing causes bondage, but attachment to God and his devotees leads to liberation. Soul is like the owner, and senses are servants. If senses follow the soul, And tolerance, the practice, will make us happier. Because Shankaracharya says that senses can either be a friend or enemy. Shankaracharya says, what was the Satravaha Indriyani, senses can either be friend or enemy. So they coordinate with mind and soul, they can be friends, otherwise it can be your enemy. So Kapil Muni teaches those attachments of the material thing causes bondage, and devotees leads to liberation. He describes the quality of sadhu, saintly person. They are tolerant, merciful, friendly, and to all beings without enemies and peaceful. Well, if you are more interested in Kapil Dev readings, which is lot importance in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a book by Prabhupada. It's called Teachings of Lord Kapil Bhagavan, or it's even in Hindi. It's called Kapil's Sikshamrit. So this Kapil Dev Sankhya philosophy has been described, how the elements came, how the subtle elements, mind, intelligence develop. We have a lot of time here. So it is all described in Bhagavad Gita that Kapil Dev's Sankhya philosophy is described, how elements came, how subtle elements, mind, intelligence and develop. How is all these gross elements, the earth, water, fire, how they develop. So there are 8 elements, namely they are all described in Bhagavad Gita. So Kapil Muni is incarnation of God. He described the Sankhya philosophy and Bhakti Yoga. And like I said, Kapil Dev is known as he's a god. He has initiated Sankhya philosophy, which is described that how elements came in, how the subtle elements in mind, intelligence, all this develop. There are 8 elements, namely, as described in Bhagavad Gita, the 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. There are gross elements, and then there are subtle elements or finer elements, mind, intelligence and ego. That makes 8 elements. And the subjects of sense perception, 10 senses, 10 knowledge senses, 10 knowledge acquiring senses, 10 sense organs or working senses. So together it all makes what? 23, and Avakya and the living entity. And then the God. In this way whole philosophy is described, and that is called Sankhya philosophy, describing all the elements of creation. I think we went through that on earlier chapters. So this knowledge is existing since the time of creation. Everything materially created has got 6 stages. First stage is creation. Then the second stage is growth. First stage is maintenance, 4th stage is production, 5th stage is dwindling, and 6th stage is vanishing. This is anything material goes through this kind of thing. So the Sankhya philosophy is always there. Kala Vipul, in the due course of time, everything becomes invisible or unknown. Just like Bhagavad Gita. Gita was spoken long ago before speaking to Arjuna. Imam Visvate Yogam Proktamam aham abhyayam. This is in Bhagavad Gita 4.1. Therefore, all Vedic knowledge, they are not research knowledge. They are existing always since the time of creation. Sankhya philosophy is an analytical study of elements of creation. All these elements, different gross elements, and the scientists are like searching a lot of things. Let's say Wright brothers talk about, we found a plane and this and that. But in Bhagavatam, we had a Guru taking Lord himself everywhere. So, the plane Pirata, or he came in Pushpak Viman and all that. We have this for 5,000 years. So it is not that, we have not documented like the scientists. The scientists are taking over, but everything is there in Bhagavad. But what Prabhupada is saying, that all Vedic knowledge, that's not a research knowledge. They are existing always since the time of creation. Sankhya philosophy is analytical study of elements of creation. Fine. There was a vibration. Then the vibration, there was a sky. So the creation, beginning, and then from sky there was a sound. And then from sound there was air. And from the air there was electricity or fire. Then from fire there was a water, and from water there is a land. This is shortly described, but then how this mind is created, intelligence is created, how the control created, these are all described in second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. At many places it's there. I mean, one of the question Muktasanga Prabhu had asked one time, remember, if you recall it, that we are discussing this more technical aspect of creation. And he says, well, we are basically chanting and have a devotional song and kirtan and everything. How is this all important for us? This creation technicality. Well, this one answer is here, that it is not very simply chanting and dancing in ISKCON. That is the ultimate goal of life. Only chanting and dancing, yes, it is ultimate goal. But we know how this creation has taken place, how it is being maintained, how it is annihilated. What will happen? When will annihilation come? Everything we know by Sankhya philosophy. In Bhagavatam, everything is described. The scientists are still hunting to find. They are spending millions for Big Bang Theory. We are already simply described in Bhagavatam. 5,000 years ago, we know how the world was created. I mean, so the so-called scientists, they are troubled with what will happen next. But what we are learning on this creation and all these theories it is making us more faithful and trustworthy in what is the devotional life. Prabhupada said that scientists are wasting time on so-called research work. Every knowledge is there, including how to make life perfect. They are worried about scarcity of people of fruits and drinks and milks and sugar. That is all described in 12th canto, the Kali Yugas. What's going to happen? 12th canto clearly says on chapter 2 that people will decrease the span of life, their intelligence, memory, their propensity for mercifulness, duration of life, etc. all will disappear. Everything in Kali Yuga, as we see, is reducing in material sense. We already see that now, right? And people are wandering from place to place. They are wandering from place to place without home or jobs. Now AI is coming. So I was good in IT. You become an expert, and now the AI is coming and they say, oh, you will be out of jobs in many cases. So we know that these things are changing. People will be banned. That is all stated in Bhagavatam. 5,000 years ago, what will the life will be like? The Kali Yuga will be for 3,42,000 years. And the only time that has left is only 5,000 years. After Krishna left the Kali Yuga, after 40 years, the Kali Yuga has started. And after Kali Yuga has started, we only spend 5,000 years. The Kali Yuga is going to last 3,42,000, less 5,000. So, what will happen? So, Prabhupada says, well, let sooner we go to Vaikunta, sooner we go to Godhead, we'll be better off. Because going to Swargalok is not a way. You come back in another 5,000, 10,000 years, there won't be ISKCON anymore. After 10,000 years, you may not find temples, you may not have this kind of life. So the idea is, sooner the better, and that's what ISKCON is teaching you, the philosophy of how to return back to Godhead. Prabhupada writes the Dambate Ratim, the husband and wife, their relationship means sex. This is the age. As soon as the husband will be unable to satisfy wife or something like that, Prabhupada says that, he'll find another husband. They will file divorce. That's what's happening in America. The divorce rate is like 40% plus. So marriage has no real value. Slowly it will even catching up in our society, in our homes even rather. The couples are less tolerant, impatient, stressful living conditions. These are all stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. These lifestyles are happening and miseries are mounting in materialistic and karmic people. Now we go through similar problems, but as a transcendental understanding, as a devotee, we know that whatever we expect happens, it's okay. If it does not happen, that's what God wants. We have a faith in Him. We have a faith there is a God. We have a faith everything is God. In Sankhya philosophy, in a metaphysics, they don't believe the existence of God. They are still searching why this is happening, what is happening from where to what is. So Kapil Dev, he gave us a Sankhya philosophy. Later on there is another, he imitated. He also named himself Kapil, he gave the same philosophical process. There was a guy in Europe, he named himself also Kapila, but less God. Everything what scientists are doing and what is happening. So, without accepting a supreme, all these questions, without accepting God, without accepting a supreme source of everything, how can you solve all this? It is not possible. You are simply a product of this cosmic manifestation. Like we said earlier, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, or janma mrityu jara vyadhi piritam karma bandhanai. We want to get out of all these things. This is not what metaphysics believes. Metaphysics doesn't believe in God. And we leave everything to God. Anything is created is God. Anything happening is God. Everything we are trying to relate it to God. So, accept that the Supreme Controller is a must question. You must. Without it, you cannot go forward. This is what Prabhupada says. You must have to accept. We can appreciate the brain of scientists, but how? What is there? Who has created the brain? We are seeing the person who created it. We are seeing person who created it. But scientists are putting, oh, he got a better brain. But what will we do? Who gave you that brain? Simple thing like from my senses, like test tube baby. We know the mechanics of test tube baby. So now, but who brings the sperm? Who brings the eggs? Or the blood. How can you make blood? Making blood is even a problem. And there is a free blood. He's creating in 24 hours as much as you want. You know, so these are the kind of things. Under the direction in which all seasons appear, they don't want to believe. Krishna says, under my direction, Prakriti is working. And that is the material energy. That is working. Under his direction, immediately all seasons appear and go. If you have to manufacture so many leaves or set up so many trees, see how difficult it is. By laws of nature, by God's energy, immediately within few days, millions of trees are getting their leaves again. Millions of trees are even falling out in fall season. Millions of fruits and flowers are coming. Who is doing all this? Simply by His will, millions of universes are created. As we all learned from creation, Brahma Samhita, that Brahma and the Lords appeared from the pores of Mahavishnu and remained for duration of one exhalation of Mahavishnu. Similarly, all this cosmic manifestation came into existence by the will of God. Simply by His will, millions of universes are created, just by His will. Even they say in Bible, let there be creation. And what do they mean? That means there is somebody who is creating it. We relate everything to God. So, let's see how much time I have. Oh. The spirituality and acceptance of Krishna as the supreme personality of God, it is for the intelligent people to understand and absorb devotional activity to get away from the misery of material life to become happier and pure. By associating with devotees, attending kirtan, studying religious scriptures, following regulative principles, one learns to minimize the material needs, material desires, and increase enthusiasm and inspiration for a spiritual life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. As we know, everything in material world is temporary. In material life, everything is eroding with time. That's why Krishna had to come again. When it eroded, he said, Yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata itiranta. So the progress in devotion, humiliation, detachment from sense gratification, taking shelter of Lord Krishna, that's what ISKCON teaches us, the science of religion, the science of religion. Prabhupada says that we are not fooled to waste time on materialistic research. Like the scientists are spending millions to find this. Everything is there in Vedic knowledge. Veda means full and absolute knowledge, and it is there in Srimad Bhagavatam and even Gita. But anyway, it is the devotional life that's what makes us more faithful and trust in the God, in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So whatever is destined to happen, happens. Because like they say at the time of death, like you say, Antakale cha mameva smarana mukta kalevaram. Antakale cha mameva smarana mukta kalevaram. Yah prayati madhvavam. Datri sastra sansaya. What he's saying is, at the time of death, whatever you think of me, you become like me, you come to me. And you know the God's address, right? I hope you know the God's address. His address is Natat Vasayate Suryo na sasanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante taddham paramam. That there is no sun, there is no moon there. It is all self-illuminated world in Vaikuntha. And yad gatva na nivartante, once you go there, they don't come back. Yad gatva na taddham paramam, that is my home. You never come back from there. I think that's the address we are looking for. That's what we are doing in ISKCON. And whatever is destined to happen will happen. So like a parrot story I told you last time, I presume. But this is another parrot now. Parrot is considered a very talented bird. So the parrot story, this one is, I recently heard from a saint. And that's where he's saying that this parrot goes to Garuda. Garuda is the main vehicle for Lord. It's transporting Lord everywhere. So parrot goes to Garuda and says, look, you know what happened? I saw Yamaraj. He was laughing at me when he saw me in the ground. And I have heard that in 3 or 4 days after Yamaraj is laughing, he will take you back. And he said, I don't want to die. So please help me. I'm so scared. Why Yamaraj was laughing at me? So he's telling Garuda. So Garuda says, he said, look, don't worry. Sit on my back. He takes him, few oceans away and puts him in some cave. And said, don't worry, I will ask Garuda. I will ask Yamaraj. I also know him. I don't have to tell God, I can directly talk to Yamaraj and let you know. So he goes to, Garuda goes to Yamaraj. He left parrot, 7 samandar paras in some caves. And he says, until I call you back, you stay there. So he goes to Yamaraj and says, you were laughing at the parrot. Parrot is very much concerned. He said, you know why I was laughing? How this bird will fly 7 samundar par in a cave where we have to pick him up? So he said, that's where I put him right now. He said, well, that's where we had to pick him up, and I was wondering how will he go there. That's why I was laughing at him. So it's whatever is destined to happen will happen. Whether you go up there, doesn't matter. Hare Krishna, I think the time is up.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions or something, because this gives you a basic idea on Kapil Dev, but there's a lot of things to learn on Kapil Dev throughout Canto 3, Canto 2, and the philosophy is in very deep sense. This gives you only basic idea of Kapil Muni and Sankhya philosophy. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Anybody has any questions, comments, reflections?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
It's very, very nice to hear from elderly devotees and your experiences. And yes, it's very true that we need to know about the creation and the Prakriti, everything. Then we can get into the devotional service more deeper. Yes, that's very true. I did not understand that parrot. Can you please repeat?
Oh, okay. So in the parrot story, the moral was whatever is going to happen in life will happen. So what happened? This parrot, it's made up the stories now. This is one of the saints recently told that this parrot saw that Yamraj looked at him and he was laughing at him. So parrot, he was scared because he asked somebody, he said, if Yamraj laughs at you, then he is almost ready to take you. You will be going in 3-4 days. That's why parrot was now very scared. So he said, let me talk to Garuda. Garuda is the vehicle of Lord. So he tells Garuda, he says, I met Yamraj at some place and he was laughing at me and they will take me in 3-4 days. They said, so I am very scared. So what should I do? He said, don't worry, sit on my back. Garuda takes him 7 oceans away, 7 samandar par, and puts him in some cave and says, I'll ask Yamraj, then you come. You stay there. So here it is, now parrot is on the back of Garuda, he goes 7 samandar par, puts him on a cave. Now Garuda comes back to Yamraj. And he says, Yamraj, why were you laughing at the parrot? Because parrot is scared, you will take him up in 3-4 days. He says, I was laughing at that parrot because I didn't know how he will go 7 samandar par in a small cave because that's where we were supposed to pick him up. He said, I already took him. So that's what happens. No matter where you try to hide, whatever is destined to happen will happen. That's what the moral of story was.
Thank you very much. That was very nice.
Anybody else?
I just want to thank Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mata.
I really love the parrot story and all the other things which drives people more towards devotion and showing people what is the realistic thing, what is realistic. Realistic is devotion towards God.
Yeah.
All these other things are mithya, it's material stuff and the senses. You told the soul is the owner and the senses is your servant. So that was a very good point because anytime if we are led with our senses of taste or, they are the last things to overcome for a human being, overcoming senses and especially the taste, Even be it a saint or old man or any old person or anybody, the taste, if I could taste that particular curry of what my mother used to make or, anything, it all senses thing. A person is tested always. So
right.
this way, the way you said, it instills in us, okay, when you are the owner, you have a right to tell whether you do that or don't do it. So we can tell our senses, keep that away.
Right.
And the detachment part also.
So Prabhupada always says that try to have some humor in your preachings, which we learn from the senior preachers, that Prabhupada says have some humor in your preaching and make things practical. Because in the morning walk, he was walking on one beach. And a lot of Americans used to walk with him. So this guy who was walking with barefoot, and the beach had a lot of stones and this and that. So when he was walking barefoot and he saw others were not, so he asked him, why you are walking barefoot? You are going to have he said, for austerity, Prabhu, I don't know. He said, no, the austerity is you wear shoes. You don't want to suffer and walk with me, So that's the kind of thing. He always has so many examples where Prabhupada try to bring humor in with the way he talks to people. And this way he puts more the message of what is real and practical way to live in a devotional life.
So, and that was very good, so you can continue in that path by pushing these things away because when you employ someone, you expect them to do the work the way you want.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't make the senses be the employer and we be the employee. That's what mainly people are doing, right? So we run after the senses. So this way, when you know who you are as a owner, you will not allow that. That was a very good.
So it's a small story, if I can share, is, when we did one of the principle of karma lecture, I don't know if they recall, but that time I did say, Jaggery the good in the old days, when you have a fever, the mother used to take this quinine, which is very bitter, because if they give you quinine, you might throw up and not drink it. So what mothers used to do is put it in a jaggery in good and make a candy out of it.
Yes.
And generally they keep jaggery and good away from boys, because there were no big candies and everything. So people will always use good and eat it up, So they keep it away. But when he's sick, she makes the small candy ball or good ball and tells, why don't you eat it? He says, well, every day when I want good, she is hiding it, but today I have a fever, she is giving it. So say, here, take this, and I think you will be all right. So he says, oh, it's good, I'll be all right. Yeah. So he eats that, and then mother asks him, did you eat that? Did you eat that? He says, yeah, I ate it, but there was some seed in it, I threw that away. So see, he says that that's what is happening in Kali Yuga. We take the sweetness of the stories, but we leave the quinine out. Anyway, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. I'll ask online, there is one devotee going to share. Deepa Mataji. Okay, yeah, very good. Thank you, Gokulananda Prabhu. Big round of applause.
Thank you.
So we'll have kids sloka now, recitation. All the kids, please come onto the stage. Go there.
Bhagavad-gita 7.16. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana skudino Arjuna artha janasura arthati jignasura arthati jnani cha bharata shabha. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kind of pious men render service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and the one who is searching for knowledge about the Absolute.
Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna artho jignasur artharti nani cha vartashava. Translation. O best among the Bharatas, there are 4 kinds of pious men: the distressed, who begin to render service, devotional service unto me; the distressed, the inquisitive, the desire of wealth, and he who search knowledge of the absolute truth.
There you go.
Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino. Bhagavad Gita 7.16. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukirta Arjuna artha jignasa arthati jnani cha bharata shubha. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching of knowledge of the absolute truth.
चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जना सुकृतो अर्जुना अर्थ जिज्ञासु अर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men began to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute.
Chaturvida bhajanti mam jana sukriti no arjuna artho jignasa artharthi jnani na chabara jnani chabarata shava. There are 4 O best of the Bharatas, there are 4 kinds of men who will render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the inquisitive, the desirer of wealth, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute.
Thank you, kids. While Vrinda is searching for the quotes for the week from Srila Prabhupada, I have 2 announcements. First thing is about the upcoming festival. So we all know that actual Gaura Purnima is on Tuesday. So the big celebration is at ISKCON Philadelphia. So please don't miss that. It's in the evening. And we are going to celebrate here next Saturday. So I have already sent an invite to every one of you. If you have not got it, please let me know. If you have got it, please accept the invitation, so at least we have head count, we can plan for other things. There's a drama, there's Chapan Bhog, Abhishek, lot of activities here on that day. Okay, so please make yourself available. So we'll start, instead of 6 o'clock, we'll start at 5:30. Okay, it goes up to 8:30, including prasadam. So please don't miss, and also spread to your friends if they are interested to attend this festival. We are expecting somewhere around 60-70 devotees, which is the normal. Yes, very important. And His Grace Vishnu Gada Prabhu will be gracing this occasion. He is a special guest. He is in India right now. He'll come day after around. So he'll be gracing this special event on next Saturday. So please don't miss that. And March 27th, I had initially announced that His Grace Adhikada Prabhu will come here for our program, but due to some circumstances, his schedule has been rescheduled to August somewhere, August, September. Okay, so next March 27th is not coming. So we'll have a regular program here, or we'll let to decide, but there'll be a big program at Manit Prabhu's place. So once it is confirmed, we'll let you know. And March 21st, I had already announced that there is a special program. Mataji is coming. She is very senior. She is a special guest. And so block this date also, March 21st, Saturday. Okay, so March 21st, and we'll let you know of the other program at Manit Prabhu's place. So we'll pray for Srila Prabhupada's quote and then prasadam.
February 22nd. Unless one becomes detestful of this material world, it is to be understood that he has not yet entered into the spiritual understanding. This is the test of bhakti. If one has entered the domain of devotional service, this material world will not at all be tasteful for him. 23rd February. Women are by nature endowed with many artistic tendencies, and from the Vedic age we find high-grade women and girls were highly qualified in 64 arts. Srimati Radharani was fully qualified in those arts, and therefore by her super excellent transcendental qualities she could charm Krishna, who is the charmer of the 3 worlds. 24th February. A man has served the family with heart and soul throughout the whole life, and when he is old man, if he asks permission from his wife, "My dear wife, now I have served so much, let me take sannyasa now," the wife will never give permission. She will say, "What have you done? This son is not yet settled up. This daughter is not yet married. How can you take sannyas? So you cannot do." So actually he is the servant of the wife, but he is thinking, "I am master of the family." This is called Maya. 25th February. In the transcendental loving service of the Lord, it doesn't matter whether we are working, cooking, painting, writing, chanting, or whatever, they are all the same. There is no such distinction of higher and lower on the transcendental platform. The important thing is that we are engaging our time and energy in the service of the Lord. After all, we are so tiny. What can we do? Krishna sees simply that this time is being spent in his service. 26th February. If someone takes your leg and catches you and your head is down, then it is not very comfortable. This whole material world is like that. It is uncomfortable. It is perverted reflection. On the bank of a pond, a tree is standing, but the reflection in the water of the tree is not real. Real tree is up. Similarly, real enjoyment, real variety, everything is in the spiritual world. 27th February. Sometimes when Radharani would go out, Krishna would attack her, and when she would fall down, Krishna, don't torture me in that way. They would fall down and Krishna would take the opportunity and kiss her. Radharani was very pleased, but superficially Krishna was the greatest rascal. Unless rascaldom is in Krishna, how could rascaldom be existent in the world? Our formula of God is that He is the source of everything, but His rascaldom is so nice that everyone worships His rascaldom. 28th February. Two Lords, Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they have appeared just to reclaim the fallen souls of this age. They are more kind than Krishna. Krishna, he is also very kind. He comes to deliver, but Krishna demands that first of all surrender. He is so kind. So take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and be happy. Thank you very much.
Is Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So as I mentioned about the festival and the event link, in that event you have a link where you can sign up for Chapan Bhog. Okay, so on that day, festival day, we'll have Chapan Bhog. Many devotees already have signed up. You can sign up against the items which are already present, or if you want to prepare any new items, you should edit that Excel sheet and write that new item against your name. Okay, thank you, Prajesh Govind Prabhu. He keeps sending a quote without miss every day. Thank you for that. We'll have break for prasada. Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmane Vaishnave Svalpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Naiva Jayate Sharira Vidyaja Narendriyata Heka Jiva Pele Vishesagare Taramati Jivahati Lohmai Sudurmati Take Jatakatina Samsare Krishna Barodayamai Paribar Jivajai Prasada Nadilovai Iyanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagao Premada Ko Chaitanya Nitai Jai Nimai Jai Nitai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Radha Krishna Mahaprasadam ki Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you very much. Thank you, online devotees. Hari Bol.